Once upon a time, not so long ago, 3 very tired businesswomen came together and said, there has to be a better way. We need to create more life-affirming work. They talked of identity. They talked of meaning and purpose of work. They shared reflections, stories, and dialogue. Then they said, this has been good for us. Let's invite other women to join in this journey. They called the first gathering Women in Leadership, a learning community exploring the path of wisdom. The retreat series, now called Women's Leadership Community, creates a time out for women in midlife and mid-career. Surrounded by the beauty of the natural world, the program balances time alone, time in structured exercises, and time in community. In 2007, 10 years after the program started, we asked several alums to talk about why they enrolled in the Women's Leadership Community and describe its impact on their lives.
I've come to think of Will as an intentional speed bump in my life. I have this idea of speed bumps. I think we all need them. But so often they're fed to us instead of us intentionally taking them. Usually it's a death in the family or a close friend or a sickness or something that makes us stop and reevaluate who we are and what we're doing here. And midlife brings that too. So with the commitment of time and space to these 4 sessions, it allowed me to actually force myself, but I wanted to do it. It was an elected thing to think about, what is important to me and what should I be and am I doing what I should do? But I think that this whole idea of speed bump to me has been present in my mind. In fact, I even considered manufacturing speed bumps so people would slow down a bit and think.
I didn't know quite what it was going to be. I had no idea. And it was so much richer and deeper than what I thought. And because I learned things about mythology and leadership, research around women's leadership styles and all kinds of things that I just had not been exposed to, but very rich and very powerful. When you said that was life impacting, for me it was life changing and life reaffirming.
For me it was the day we wrote stories, and I think it was the 3rd or 4th session, and the dam was released. It was just gushing, like I was doing it on my computer, and my fingers couldn't move fast enough to type it in, and it fit together, it all came. But when I looked at other people in my group throughout the year, it was different things for different people. Like the collages, didn't do it for me, but for some people, that was so pivotal and meaningful. And for some people, it was when we did pottery, and for some people it was when we had massage, or it was walking in the woods, or it was an art project, cutting things out and pasting them together, or it was the music, or the night we watched a movie. There was such a range of different opportunities and activities that we engaged in that something would spark it in there. And it was different things for different people.
I think the structure of the Women in Leadership conversations or dialogue is that you listen, but you don't jump in and offer advice or fix, but to really allow that person to talk through what they need to do and just listen and not feel like you have to fix anything. Well, the story is such a big part of Women in Leadership Community. Yeah. The tagline of my story, listens to your story, is such a big part of what we did in our Will retreat years of listening to each other's stories and taking what resonated with us and going deeper into our own stories, and it did, listening to other people's stories helped you learn your own story in different ways.
It stripped away all the stuff that was covering me before, and now I just bring myself and what I know and my knowledge, and if they want that, they will take it, and if they don't, then I don't need to be there.
And for so long I felt that whatever was coming at me, I had to react to and do something about right then, instead of taking in all the information and then holding it and waiting until the answer came. And as a manager, that was pretty radical, to not say, well, okay, this is what we're going to do, but to put a pause in there or a speed bump, and sprinkle some speed bumps out there for staff.
What this has given me over the years is it is a practice. It's a way, it's a number of practices that I use that help me kind of recalibrate and come back on, and to recognize that, you know, life is a you know, it's a long-term endeavor, you know, and that we, you know, so learning how to just pace myself, learning how to, you know, how to grow wiser in my decision making.
Takeaway that I have from having gone through it is not feeling alone. I think you create such bonds with the people that you go through this experience with. You hold them in your heart, in your memory, and when you're faced with some situation where you think, oh, what am I going to do now? I find myself thinking back to my year, you know, and thinking through that year, through the dialogues, through the conversation, through the sharing stories, you get so much affirmation back at you. You take that away with you, and you can hold that in your heart and feel like you still feel that support from your group.
When people ask me, so what was that like for you, or how did you like it, I mostly say it was life impacting. Because it was. I am a different person, and I am still becoming a different person because of having had that experience, and it shows up in my personal life, it shows up in my work life, and I think the tsunami effect shows up in the lives of my coworkers because of who I show up as and some ideas that I bring and we share with them. It shows up in my community life because I'm a different person coming there, and I think the more of those tsunamis we can have out in the world, the more women who can have this kind of experience and become who they are in much deeper and stronger ways, they can show up in those workplaces and in those communities and in those families and faith communities. And it's a pretty big ripple in lots of different ways.
Certainly one of the reasons we started this was so that we would also be reclaiming women's leadership in the larger community, and helping each other do that in a community of support. So we could help each other, you know, kind of move into that place of confidence and leadership.